kind of zoom out and look at the bigger
Hmm.
picture for a minute, it seems to me that what we are really starting to talk about are some very disruptive financial models, ones that could
Hmm.
potentially empower anyone to become an entrepreneur. It could
Hmm.
potentially promote equity between people. It could also mean a redistribution of wealth, which could
Right.
also disrupt the future of the job market. So, wondering what your thoughts are on this. Will Gen Z and Gen Alpha, just be selling NFTs and not wanting to get involved in the workforce in the future? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I just think that crypto is probably the most transformative technology that has come about in, I'd say, the last 100 years or so, because it's actually, and it took me a while to get into crypto because it actually puts these whole notions that you have, it turns it on its head and it's like, okay, what's the concept of money? What exactly is money? What's fiat money, right? And crypto completely changes that. And then everything around the world is built around money as well. It's built around money, and obviously money is intertwined with ownership. You own your house, your car, or whatever else, and that's recorded. So it's completely changed the notion of everything that we've done around our lives. I keep telling my wife every time, it's like, by the time our kids are going to be 18, they're not going to wait to get a bank account until they're 18, and until an adult can sign off for them and everything. They'll have probably built an on-chain credit history. It's pretty easy to go and set up your own MetaMask wallet or your own crypto wallet and start interacting without having to, get a driver's license, go to a bank, wait in the line. I mean, all that already, me, after having gotten into crypto and worked in the space, seems obsolete. Going to an ATM, withdrawing cash, you could essentially pay anyone without even ever having to go through banking rails, through crypto, right? You could record deeds on a blockchain in no time. There's all these other creator tools and everything that other platforms, OpenSea gives as well, where someone that has a passion can go and build NFTs. There's these other ecosystems like Rally, where if you're a creator, you can actually go there. You don't need a middleman. You can connect directly to your audiences. So all these are in nascent stages, and it's like the genie's out of the bottle, and it's, you can't put it back. It's gonna take off, and every 20 years or so, we have these disruptive technologies. Obviously, we 20 years back we had Blockbuster and Netflix, and people were like, oh, Blockbuster will adapt, and no one's going to stream videos, and it's not going to take off. There's going to be a lot of skepticism at the early stages, but then in hindsight, it's going to be like, yeah, the writing was on the wall, right? Blockbuster was never going to succeed. So I think with crypto and NFTs, like I said before, the genie's out of the bottle. The tech is just so much more superior, and once you understand it, you know that traditional finance or the current Web2 platforms, as extractive they are and as opaque as they are, and the fact that they don't really empower the creators, they just can't survive in the long term. And for other platforms like Facebook and all of these others, which use the consumer as their product, we've already seen the downsides of what happens there. Where they actually end up exploiting the very consumers who are their customers, right? And they use it for bad purposes. So I think a lot of that crypto kind of, even if it doesn't take it all away, all of that is transparent. It's on the blockchain, and then it empowers the people. You're not the product. You are the owner, and you have full control over it. So I think that's where crypto and NFTs changed that entire equation, and it actually changed the mindset as well.
Yeah.
But it's going to take time, and I think it's going to go, kids are going to pick it up a lot faster than a lot of people my age and people older than me. It's just, disruptive technologies are typically adapted by young people first, and then the rest of the world follows.
I think that's such a good point. So while it might feel kind of like we have to shift our mindsets,
Mhm.
there's generations growing up with this, and it's just the norm.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I really appreciate that. And so, wondering how we can measure the success of NFTs and cryptos, like kind of,
Mhm.
is mainstream adoption the ultimate goal, which maybe it is, but what are maybe the milestones along the way that we should aim for?
Yeah, so I would say for me, the biggest milestone is to get wide crypto adoption is NFTs have to be cheap, right? So what we saw last year was all these 10,000 PFPs. So these massive collections, 10,000 monkey pictures or, cat pictures and penguins, cute penguins and stuff. And I mean, they didn't really have any utility other than, hey, I'm gonna make this my profile picture and I'll have the committee of like-minded people, and then maybe the project team is gonna go do something with it, right? So it was a lot of hype, less of a use case, but it was a lot of hype and just, hey, these profile pictures of community building, and I can see another ape and say, we are buddies and we probably think alike and stuff. So I think it was cool, it was a good start to it. And a lot of the headline news where the media focuses on is, hey, Jack Dorsey sold his first tweet for like 3 million, apes are selling for 400K. That's all great for headline news, but mass adoption is where I think it's really going to take off, where NFTs have to be cheap to transact with, and then everyone can own an NFT without actually using it. So at least for me, the measure of NFT adoption and what we're focused on our platform is making these NFTs as cheap as possible and the entire experience seamless. You shouldn't have to have, for example, a MetaMask wallet, set up a seed phrase, you forget it, you bought your coins, or you set up a hardware device. While it reduces the barrier to entry, it's very intimidating, especially for non-technical people to do all that. And then to go to OpenSea, link your wallet, take your NFT, trade it, it's very complicated. So on our platforms, at least, we're trying to take away all the complexity, make it look just like you would be doing buying any other digital item. NFTs are the same way. So I think mass adoption is going to take off when all of those complexities are going to be removed away from that system. And then the folks who are actually interacting with the application don't even know there's NFTs in the background. And then, like you mentioned before, right? Everything on a platform could be an NFT. Theoretically, could be. Once the blockchains are there. But one, it has to be cheap. Second, it has to be fast. You cannot wait 20 minutes for the NFT to show up in your wallet. And then third thing is, it has to be so easy that you don't have to set up a seed phrase, get the specialized wallet. You don't have to fear that someone's going to hack your coins and you're going to lose everything, or you're going to forget your password and all of it is going to be gone. So some of that tech needs to catch up. I know a lot of smart people are working on it. I've heard Jack Dorsey speak at several conferences, and he's fully dedicated to making Bitcoin used more widespread, especially bringing it to third world countries. But I'd see cryptos and NFTs being a success when it actually changes lives for the better. So I'm originally from India, where we have hundreds of millions of people living below poverty lines. There's hundreds of millions of people who are unbanked, who cannot open a bank account. When they can make payments with crypto without even realizing, that there's crypto in the back end, most of them have mobile phones now. So if a lot of these things get integrated there, you can beat out a lot of the ills that are keeping these people behind, right? A lot of these countries are being held behind because they're super corrupt. All these deeds, their land deeds are recorded in a county office or somewhere on paper or some antiquated system, and you got to pay bribe to even see who owns a parcel of land or an asset there. But if all of this is on the blockchain, it's fully visible. It takes away power from some of the centralized authorities. Once it can transform, I think the promise is definitely there. The tech is getting there, but once it can transform the lives of the unbanked and all the disenfranchised people, I think that's where the promise of crypto and NFTs will really lie. I think that's still a ways away, and a lot of smart people are working on it full time. We're going to get there. It's going to be baby steps until we get there. But if we can change a billion lives for the better, then it's going to be all worth it.
That is such a good point. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. It's that idea about being able to use it as a tool to create more quality is something that I think is really going to resonate with people when they put in the terms that you kind of just used. And I wanted to ask you, though, because it makes me wonder about regulation, because I know there's kind of regional regulation and it's not kind of global regulation at this point. How is this going to impact the future of crypto and NFTs and adoption?
Absolutely. So I'd say lack of regulation has actually stymied crypto adoption so far. And if you see in the US, especially, you got the SEC and the CFTC, who who are both fighting between themselves. And it's mainly regulation by enforcement. So the laws aren't clear. There are no laws. So what the SEC is using is a 100-year-old law to try to make regulation for crypto. Now the SEC is just a law enforcement. I mean, they only can regulate securities. But because there is nothing for crypto, they've kind of taken it upon themselves to quote regulate it and become the police of crypto. I think regulations should come. The clarity is very important. That's what's actually held back this industry. The reason why FTX happened and all of these other exchange, scams and all have happened so far is because there has been no regulation. So people have been forced to go to all these international exchanges and trade there, and a lot of these projects have been driven out of the US. So they've gone into all these other jurisdictions where the law isn't that strong, or the regulations aren't clear, or they don't even have any intentions of bringing those regulations on. And then they have essentially basically stolen people's money. And in crypto, there is no central bank, right? There's no central regulator that's going to back up all of this or watching over, all the exchange books. So regulation is important, is what I feel. It gives clarity to the industry around what they can and cannot do. Last week, Brazil announced that they're going to regulate crypto. I think the format they have come up with is probably a great first start. They have not said that crypto is legal tender, but what they've said is the executive branch will essentially decide if a crypto is regulated by their version of the SEC or their central bank. And then, at least in that way, crypto has clarity and it will get mainstream adoption. I think Brazil is going to be an interesting area to watch around crypto regulations and how that works over there, because certain cryptos will be classified as securities regulated by their version of the SEC and the others by the central bank. But the fact that even they've come out with something is awesome. I think things are going to come to a head with this whole FTX debacle. There should be a lot of noise, hopefully, in the capital and in the powers that be, and we have some good regulations around the way. My only fear is it shouldn't be regulation that drives out innovation. It should be something that entrepreneurs can have clarity on. The US has had a very good track record of doing that so far. It helped create the internet and have meaningful regulations in place where we could have our Googles and Facebooks and YouTubes of the world. I think we should do the same for crypto as well. Some of the regulations that Sam Bankman-Fried was working on with regulators weren't friendly at all. They wanted to basically ban all DeFi and route everything through exchanges like his, and that would have just set it back. So hopefully there's some good regulation, some common sense regulation. I think Brazil it's great that they've taken that first step. It'll be interesting to watch what happens there. I think it's coming in the US as well. And good regulation will help, give that aura of, the blessing that, look, this industry is, we have rules around this, there's guardrails, it's not an industry for scamsters, and there's a lot of good people working in the space who really want to change lives for the better.
It seems to me that we've sort of been thinking about centralization over here and decentralization over here. But to me, I feel like there's this entire space in between, this kind of like hybrid opportunities for people. Do you see that as an opportunity as well? What do you think that might take shape as?
Yeah, I think decentralized, the completely decentralized world is still quite a ways out there. I've seen these DAOs and all of these. I mean, those are the ultimate form, right? The decentralized organization. It's not top down. There's no CEO. We still have to see those models work out, right? How those are going to stand the test of time. So far, we've always seen these centralized and hierarchical model. Because we are so early, it's going to be a while before we see how that plays out. We are in that space as well, like our metaverses. Again, we are not fully decentralized with InView and with me. These are still owned by the corporate umbrella, by the corporate company. And then slowly we could in the future launch other completely decentralized spaces as well. So I think in the middle, for the next few years, at least in the middle term, most of the cryptos and NFTs are going to be in that space where it's not fully decentralized.
So right now, if somebody wants to get involved in NFTs and crypto, what are some of the best practices or tips? What would you recommend? What's your advice?
Yeah, so I had a lot of friends reach out to me during the previous crypto bull run, and it's always in the bull run people reach out. It's like, hey, what crypto should I buy, or what should I do? Where should I keep my crypto? How do I self custody it? There's a ton of these questions, and I tell most people that look, the best way to learn crypto is to actually use it. You could buy and invest it and leave it on exchange and stuff, but there's risk associated with it. Like buy $10 or $20 worth of crypto. Get a software wallet set up. That's enough to start with. Set up a MetaMask wallet, self-custody it, so you understand this is not something that you can do with traditional currencies. It's self-custody. You can actually keep the crypto assets in your own wallet. So play around with it. Go to OpenSea. I had some friends reach out last year. Their kids they created this amazing art that they wanted to convert into NFTs, and I sent them a few articles. You can go to OpenSea. You can go into any of these marketplaces, and they have tools where anyone can go and create their own NFT collection. So you can go and create it. It's not like you don't have to make it an overnight success, but at least once you play around with it, you understand how it works. So the best way to start doing stuff is go to any platform, go buy any crypto. It doesn't matter what coin it is, if it's going to 5x, 10x, or it's going to remain the same price it is now, but just playing around with it, getting your feet wet is important, because that's when you truly understand how it works. Try sending it to someone else. I always tell folks that, look, here's another address. Try sending it there. And this is not something you can see with your bank system, but you got to go to the bank, fill out this form, wait in line, pay $25 for a wire, but see how quickly the crypto goes. Even the slowest of networks, within a few minutes, it's going to get to the other person. And you can actually send a link on a blockchain, and that person can verify that as well. You can see that it landed in their wallet. You can do all of these cool things that you cannot do with traditional banking systems. Same with an NFT. Give a gift, just send that NFT to a friend, give it as a gift, and you'll see it. It doesn't have to be a Bored Ape for 100K, but maybe a dollar, an NFT that costs $1. But you'll see how quickly that title gets transferred. They can see it in their wallet. It's actually pretty cool. So, playing around with it doesn't cost much. It's a few bucks. You could set up a wallet in $10. You could buy a really cheap NFT on Polygon or one of these other ecosystems in blockchains, which is super cheap. You can transfer either the tokens or the NFTs, play around with that, and then you'll see how mind blowing the tech is. And it's once you actually get into it, then all those concepts become clear. Otherwise, you're just reading, what the press says about it, and you're guessing how it works.
Right. I think that's great advice. Thank you for that. And so my final question that I always like to ask is, what is your biggest fear around the future of these technologies? And then what is your biggest hope?
Absolutely. So my biggest fear is what we're having now is we go through we've not had common sense regulations in the US for the last 10 years at least, right? That we have more of this regulation by enforcement, where the SEC is constantly throwing project after project, and Congress is enacting, and then a lot of the innovation just gets driven offshore. And because of the lack of regulation, all these bad actors like SBF and all these others get into the space as well, because they know that it's very difficult to catch them or to try them under laws, because there's no laws in the space. So it's kind of the wild, wild west, and it remains that way. So that's my fear is that actually prevents people from actually using, and a lot of the banks from using that. My hope is what I'm seeing in Brazil is, now that there's regulations there, and because of the regulations, certain banks who want to get into crypto can get into it. Some of the banks that were my clients at Ripple, they're planning to get into it as well. So that gives a form of legitimacy to it. And Brazil, again, is a developing country. There's millions, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, probably people living below the poverty line who are disenfranchised, who don't have a bank account. That those people actually get access to legitimate financial services and payment systems. So I'd say that's the big hope for crypto, is it can transform those lives. We're transforming some of the lives obviously on our platforms, for folks who are in the metaverse, creators who want to earn a living. We actually have people that earn a living on a platform, creating things for others, providing services. But I think the promise of crypto is much, much bigger than that, and it extends even beyond metaverses, and it can give access to a lot of these financial services and payment systems to the unbanked and the poor of the world that the traditional banking system cannot reach.
Thank you. That is a lovely way to end things for today. And finally, if people want to contact you or get in touch to learn more, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so you guys can reach me at LinkedIn. My username is Belthan, or I'm on Twitter as well. Zero Niche is what I go by. So active on Twitter as well as LinkedIn. Those are the best ways to reach me.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was lovely.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah. And thank you all for watching and tuning in. And I will see you again in 2023.